brought home to the people of Britain in the winter of 1989. British Midland Flight 92 takes off on a routine flight to Belfast in Northern Ireland. On board are 118 passengers and 8 crew. The aircraft is one of Boeing's new 400 series 737s. In charge is 43-year-old Captain Kevin Hunt, one of British Midland's most experienced pilots. His first officer is 39-year-old David McClelland. The plane rapidly climbs to 28,000 feet. It's a normal takeoff. But then, 13 minutes into the flight, just as the aircraft is about to hit cruising altitude, there's a shock. The bang sends a wave of alarm through the cabin. Passengers frantically look around for an explanation. Hunt and McClelland immediately suspect one of the plane's 2 engines has blown up. The cockpit voice recorder picks up Hunt urgently asking which of the 2 engines is damaged.
Which one? Which one?
His first reaction is to turn to the aircraft's instruments. But the instruments that would tell him if an engine is malfunctioning, the so-called vibration instrumentation, is notoriously unreliable in 737s at the time. Pilots don't trust them. So when smoke appears in the cockpit, McClelland falls back on his general knowledge of the aircraft. This tells him the smoke must be coming through the air conditioning system, and this, in 737s, is powered by the right engine. The cockpit voice recorder now picks up McClelland making a clear decision.
It's the right one, it's definitely the right one.
Shutting down the right.
Hunt immediately shuts down the right-hand engine. The clunking and vibrations cease. Calm returns to the cabin. The passengers relax. But minutes later, there's another, even bigger bang. Once again, the plane is rocked by vibrations. Then everything goes eerily quiet. The second left-hand engine has died. Flight BM92 has no power at all. Seconds later, the 400-ton aircraft smashes into the ground.
An airliner with 118 passengers on board has crashed on the M1 motorway in Leicestershire.
In Belfast, the flight's destination, anxious relatives wait at the airport for a plane that will never arrive. Initial signs suggest there won't be many survivors. Ed Trimble led the air crash investigation.
Mr. Trimble, BBC, can we talk to you?
I'm sorry.
I think most investigators would have said the chances of many surviving that would have been low. Clearly the aircraft is flying at over 100 knots on the approach, and suddenly it's been brought to a halt very abruptly indeed, and therefore one would have anticipated the G-forces would have been really significant.
Amazingly, only 47 passengers die. 71 survive.
We were down on the ground with a crash, all the lights were out, and we seemed to be at an angle of about 45 of the vertical. And at that time, really, there were a few people moaning in the cabin saying, "Oh, my leg's hurt, somebody please help me, I think I've broken my leg."
tailpiece that I was on actually appeared to break away and topple over, and at that stage I was left suspended upside down.
Survivors are taken to hospitals across the region. Among them is the aircraft's captain, Kevin Hunt. At first, he's hailed as a hero for at least bringing some people down alive.
Considering the trouble he was obviously in, I reckon he must have nursed that plane to get so close. He must have done a brilliant job.
But soon afterwards, questions start to be asked.
We were getting reports of ground witnesses who had seen and heard this aircraft on the approach. What we were being told was that the left engine was covered in fire. It was like looking into a furnace, someone said. So clearly the left engine was in trouble during that approach.
This fire in the left-hand engine would have been the first bang the passengers heard. But that shouldn't have been fatal. The twin-engined plane can fly quite safely on one engine.
Clearly that hadn't happened. So the question was, what's happened to the right engine?
The right engine is minutely inspected. Slowly an awful truth dawns.
The full strip inspection of the right engine revealed that there were no problems with the right engine prior to the impact.
It's the right one, it's definitely the right one.
Shutting down the right.
And yet this right-hand engine is the one the crew had shut down. So why had the pilot turned off his only working engine? The investigation will now reveal a classic case of pilot error. The pilots simply weren't familiar with their aircraft. Hunt and McClelland, not trusting their instruments, had relied on their general knowledge of 737s. This told them the smoke must be coming from the right engine, and so they'd shut it down. What they didn't know was that the new 400 series 737 is different from its predecessors. The aircon is powered by both engines. The smoke and smell came from the damaged left engine, not the perfectly good right one. More poignantly, the vibration instruments on the 737-400 series that indicate whether an engine is malfunctioning are more reliable than on earlier models. These had relayed with absolute accuracy that it was the left engine that had gone wrong, but the pilots had ignored the evidence in front of their eyes. David Learmount is a pilot and aircraft journalist.
Both pilots had the vibration information in front of their eyes, and it was accurate. It was showing them where the problem was. But because they were used to flying on the 737-300, where the vibration instruments were not reliable, they disregarded the instruments altogether.
The investigation has revealed an alarming truth. Neither pilot knew enough about the aircraft they were flying. The crash was caused by pilot error. Hunt, far from being a hero, is sacked. Hunt and McClelland had had almost no training on the new Boeing 737-400 series.
The airline had assumed that because these people were experienced on the 737-300, that they really only needed what they referred to as a differences course to go onto the 400.
Kegworth is a clear warning. Pilots need more systematic retraining if there are not to be further cases of pilot error.
Both regulatory authorities and airlines recognised that where there was a difference in the flight deck equipment, even if it be on the same model but was just a variation of that model, there was a clear need for some training.
To reduce pilot error, pilots now begin to spend more time in highly realistic, computer-controlled flight simulators. These can recreate almost any flight scenario, almost anywhere in the world. Pilots can quickly and efficiently learn about different aircraft. But despite the new training opportunities,
Tower from Midland 1, we've had an undercarriage collapse.
the airline industry doesn't fully learn the lessons from Kegworth. It's not just about having more training. The training has to be good, or there can be unexpected consequences every bit as deadly.